Hello viewers, welcome back to this NeutralinoJS series. In the previous tutorial, we cover installation, comparison with Electron, and building your first app. In this video, we will dive deep into understanding the project structure, configuring your app, and exploring the powerful NeutralinoJS API. So this is the app we created in the previous video. On the desktop, we created an app. We call it Neo Tutorial. So I'm going to open this in a terminal. So let me just open it in a terminal. This is the app we created in the previous video. If you have not watched the previous video, you need to watch it, guys, so that you will see how we install NeutralinoJS. You can also see how we build the default Neutralino application. I am in this directory, okay, Neutralino tutorial. If I do ls here, you can see the folder structure. You see the folder structure. We have the bin folder. This bin folder contains the binary of NeutralinoJS. You don't actually need to do anything about the bin folder, so it is there by default. Now this folder is created when you build an application. Remember, when we build the application, we were able to get the Windows version, the Linux version, the Mac version. All of them will appear in this folder. We also have the license file that is provided by default. Then we have neutralino.config.json. The neutralino.config.json is actually where you configure your application. So we are going to explore and do the setup soon, okay? We also have neutralino.js.log. So the log is actually the log of the application. It will appear in the log file. We have readme.md, so the readme file that is provided by default. You will see it here. We also have the resources folder. The resources folder is actually where your main web application is going to reside. Okay, so your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is going to be in the resources folder. Okay, you can also change this name, but the default one provided is resources folder. Now let me cd into the resources folder so that you will see the default. Let's do ls here. Okay, you can see that inside the resources folder we have the icons, we have the index.html, we have another folder known as JS folder. It contains the JavaScript, and we also have style.css, which contains the CSS. Okay, so let me just open this in a VS Code so that you will understand better. Let me just open the Neutralino app in VS Code, code dot. So the code dot is going to open this directory in VS Code. Then let me open it in VS Code. Okay, this is exactly what I'm explaining to you guys. We have the resources folder. This resources folder contains the resources of your application, the HTML, the CSS, and we also have the JavaScript folder that contains the JavaScript. We have neutralino.dt.ts. This one is TypeScript file. So these two files, neutralino.ts and the neutralino.js, it is added by default. So you don't need to change anything inside these files. Your custom JavaScript is going to appear inside the main.js or any other JavaScript file you provided. Okay, we are going to get rid of all these things later, but I will just want to show you the interface, the folder structure. In the next lesson, we are going to explore the neutralino.config.json. Okay, welcome back, guys. We are going to explore the neutralino.config.json. So this is it here, neutralino.config.json. This is a JSON file, as you can see, guys. It's a JSON file, and this is where the setting of your application will be set. Okay, you will do your configuration in this file. But before then, let me go to the documentation of NeutralinoJS. This is the Neutralino website. I'm going to click on documentation. So we're going to be exploring a lot of things, guys. But for now, let's see the configuration. under the configuration here, you can see configure.json, and you can see the explanation, okay, and the file contains the application configuration details. Okay, every Neutralino app typically load the following keys from the config file. We have the application ID, the URL, and the default mode. Let's just examine the configuration files. You can also go through the documentation to know more about it. Okay, let's go back to VS Code. Now we have the schema, so this is added by default, and this is the app ID. Okay, but before then, let me launch the application. We type new run. To run this application in development mode, you need to type new run. If I press enter, it is going to launch the default application earlier. Okay, this is it here. This is what we have here. So this is just the default app given to us by NeutralinoJS. So it's just default application. If you go to the HTML, you can see those information there. Let me just remove everything in this application. Okay, so you can see the configure.neutralino.config.js is here, and this file is inside the JS. So neutralino.js, you need to link the neutralino.js file before your own custom JavaScript file. Okay, from here you can see it is linked. This is because your own custom JavaScript will be making use of whatever that is available for you from the neutralino.js. Okay, so let me just give you the basic structure, guys, so that you will know that everything is just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Let me just type H1 of welcome to new NeutralinoJS tutorial. So I just added it, and when I save it, it will auto reload, and you can see that is exactly what I have here, guys. So the text I added here, you can see it here. Okay, so it will auto reload when you make any change. So if I go to the JavaScript now, I can remove all these comments because I will be explaining all these things later. So I will just allow these two files. I will explain it to you later. Okay, I will explain everything later, but I can remove everything from the main.js. I can remove it. Okay, so I remove every file from the main.js. We still have our application, but we cannot close it. So we cannot close it. Our app is still there, but we cannot close this application. But if I make any change, like say I just appended this sign, so if I go back, you can see it is not reflected. It is not reflected is you need a basic setup for Neutralino to recognize this application. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to paste these lines of code. Okay, you don't need to know much about these lines of code, guys, but what you should bear in mind now is that this is a function. Inside it, you call neutralino.app.exit. This will exit the application when you click on the close window. So it will run this application. It is listening to an event. Okay, and I don't need this one as well. I don't need this one, neutralino.init. That is going to initialize the Neutralino application. If I save it now, okay, I'm going to close the terminal. I close the terminal, so I close the application. So I just stop the process. So let me clear the terminal. So let us run the application again. New run. Okay, it opened in another window. Okay, so it has opened. This is it here. I can click close now. You can see it is closing because this code is being called. This line of code is being called. I can also run the application again. New run, and we have it. Okay, so you can see this is just the basic Neutralino feature you need for your application to work, guys. This one line of code and this one line of code here. So these two lines of code is actually what you need for your Neutralino application to function. So these 2 lines of code power your entire application, as you can see it here, but the rest can be HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. That is exactly the basic code you need for your Neutralino application to function. We're going to explore the configuration file so that you will see what is available for you. Thank you. Alright guys, we are going to explore the neutralino.config.json. So let me go to the documentation once again. Neutralino.config.json file contains the application configuration details. It contains the configuration details of your application. So let's look into it and see what we have. Here we have the schema, so it is being added and it is linked to Neutralino website. Okay, then we have the application ID. The application ID is the unique ID that identifies your application, or you can change it to a unique ID. This is the sample ID, so I can change it to com.ocatech.my-to-do. This is a unique ID. You can change it to anything. We have the application version. By default is 1.0.1. We have the default mode. The default mode is by default window. We have different mode. We have the browser mode. We have the cloud mode. We also have the window mode and the Chrome mode. So the default is window. We have the port. We have 0 as the default. The document root is the root of your web application. That is what it is you are going to put here. So by default, our web application is inside the resources folder here. You can see it, resources, and the entry point of our application is index.html, and it is inside the resources folder. So that is exactly the folder you are going to put here. If you change the resources folder to any other thing, you can put the name here. We also have the URL. The URL is the URL that links to the entry point of your resources folder. So by default is slash. This slash, once you link your resources folder, it is going to load index.html by default. Then we have enable server. Okay, enable server to be true so that you can be able to access our server and also run the application in a server mode. Then we have native API. Enable native API to be true. If you turn this to false, you cannot be able to access the native API. Let me show you the native API. If you go to the browser, then click native API, you can see we have several native API provided by NeutralinoJS. We have the app, clipboard, computer, and so on. Okay, so if you turn enable native API off, you cannot be able to access them. We also have the token security. Then we have the login. The login here control this log neutralino.log you are seeing here. So it is enabled to true and the right to log file to be true. So that's why you are seeing these log files here. Okay, other error or information log to appear in the log file. We have native allow list. The native allow list is a list that contains the native API that you allow your application to access. For example, the app API is allowed by default, and the OS API is also allowed here, and the debug.log. Now, this app API enables you to access this API, neutralino.app.exit. You can see because it is enabled. If this app is removed from that list, you cannot be able to access the exit method. So any API you want to allow in your application, you need to insert it inside the allow list. Okay, for example, if you want to allow the file system, let's go to the documentation. So if you want to access the file system, so you need to allow the file system. If I copy this and allow it here, this is how to allow file. If I do file system like this, dot star means allow everything from the file system. Okay, you can allow a specific either to write files or read files, but the star means allow everything that is available in the file system. I can be able to access the file system in this our application. Now we also have a global variables. The global variables contain the variables that you want to access globally in your application. You can add it here. Okay, then we have the modes. This is where you set the Windows configuration. Okay, let's open the window. This is the window we are talking about, guys. Everything you have under the window, under the mode, we have the window. Then we have the title. This is the title here appearing here. If I change this title here, let me change this title to do and save it. If I save it, you are not going to see any change. This is because when you make a change to neutralino.config file, you need to restart your application. That means you need to exit it. Either you close it from here or you press Ctrl+C from the command line, Ctrl+C to stop the application and rerun the application, new run. And here we have it. You can see the title has changed to do, as you can see it here. Let's see other configuration we have. We have width. You can change the width. You can also change the height of the application. That is the default width and the default height. Then if I change this to 600 and change this one to 400, then you can also change the minimum width and the minimum height as well. Then the center allows you to center the application on your desktop when it launches. That is what this center is doing. Full screen, it is set to false. That means if you set it to true, the application will launch in full screen. Then we also have always on top. Always on top will determine whether the application will be always on top of other applications. By default, it is set to false. That's why if I open my window and click on the code, you can see it is hidden. But if I set always on top to be true, if I set it to true and save it as well, as you know, we need to close this application and restart it. Just start it again. The always on top is now true. If I click on the code now, you can see it is now on top of other application. If I launch Explorer, you see, as I launch this Explorer, our app is still on top of it. All right, so let me close the Explorer. Then we also have the icon. We have the icon here. You need to put the location of your app icon. This is the default icon, but you can change the icon. So let me get an icon and replace what is in that folder. Let me open the icon folder. You can see this is the icon. This is the icon that is using by default. I can just delete this icon. Let me just select it and delete it. Just delete it. Let me grab the icon I have here. I can rename it. Let me just rename it to, say, my icon. Okay, I just renamed this to my icon. Here, for me to be able to apply it, let's go back to the configuration file and change this to my icon like this, and let me save it. Then I need to restart the application. I'm going to close it and restart it. Let's see if the icon is going to show you. Do you see now the icon has changed, guys? All right, the icon has changed. Then enable inspect inspector. This is another configuration. Enable inspector to be true. This will allow you to open the development console. Okay, the development console is here. It is on my second screen, and this is it here. Okay, each time you launch the application, you can be able to access the development console by setting enable inspector to be true. Okay, if I close this application, it is closed, but if I relaunch the application, you can see it is launching together with the console. You can see the console. All right, so where you can be able to debug your code. Can be able to debug your code in the console. Then let me see other ones. We have the borderless to be false. So if you want to build a custom application that have a custom title, you can set the borderless to be false. All right. Then we also have the maximize to be false. So by default, our application is not maximized. It is going to launch our application based on the setting we have on the width and the height. But if you set the maximize to be false, it is going to launch in this mode. That means when it launch, it is going to maximize the application, but it is set to false. Then heading, if you don't want to see the window when you launch the application, you can set the heading to be true, but by default it is false. Then we also have the resizable to be true. That means you can be able to resize your application like this. But if you set the resizable to be false, you cannot be able to resize your window. So if you are building an application that you don't want the user to resize the application, you can set the resizable to be false. For example, if I change it to false and save it as well and close the application, reload it, right now you can see I cannot be able to maximize it and I cannot be able to resize it. Okay, this is because the resizable is set to false. So but I want to resize my application, I will set it to be true. Set it to be true like this. What else do we have here? Exit process on close to be false. Okay, exit process on close is set to false. You can also set it to true as well. Then we have the browser mode. If you are building for browser, you can set this one up. If you are building for cloud, you can set all these ones up. And if you are building for Chrome, you can set all this one up. But since we are building for Windows, our application is a window application like this. It's not going to run on browser. That's why we don't need to change any of this. But you can configure each of these independently. Then we have the CLI setting here. So the binary name. So the app you build, what will it be called when you build the application? That is the binary name. For example, if I change this to my to-do, change it to to-do, and this is going to be our binary name. That is, when we build the application, it is going to have the name to do. Here it is using new tutorial. The name we give it earlier, but now I change it to do. Let me just save this. Let me build this application. New build release. This is the command to build the application, guys. New build release. Let me run build. It is now build a new application. Let's check the name. It should be under the dist folder. Okay, it created another folder inside the dist folder. This is because we just rename it, so I can remove the old one. So let me just remove the old one. Okay, I just remove the old one. This is the one we just built. Now you can see now it is using to do, and it is now appending the platform window for Windows version. and Mac appended to Mac version, and Linux appended to the Linux version. You can also see the resource path, which is going to be equivalent to the resources you have, that the resource folder, and extension path will be added by default. You don't actually need all this one. This one is for advanced usage, and you also have the binary version of your application and the client version as well. So that's all you need to know about the neutralino.config file. If you want to learn more, you can actually come here and learn more, guys. Go through all these things. Here I have already explained all of them for you, so you can also learn more here. Thank you for watching this section. Hello viewers, welcome back to this video demo where we are exploring the folder structure and the API of NeutralinoJS. In the previous video, we see different configuration you can perform using the neutralino.config.json file. Now I'm going to introduce the Neutralino API that is available. I'm not going to introduce all of them. I'm going to just use one as example, all right, so that you can get the basic knowledge. Let me open the terminal and run the application we have here. Run, that is to run it in development mode. We have our Neutralino application. I can't see the Neutralino application, guys. I hope this is not set to hidden. Oh, I don't even know when I change the hidden to be true, guys. So I'm going to change the hidden to be false. I don't actually know when I change the hidden to be true. It is now false. So you can see I'm not seeing the window because the hidden was true. So which I don't even know when I change it to true. Then let me quit from the terminal, rerun the application again. Okay, I have it now. This is the sample app we just started, and we have the console as well where we are going to debug our code. All right, then let me quickly go to the documentation, guys. For you to access the API, you need to click here under native API. So let me just jump to this neutralino.init. You can see init is not a namespace. It is a function that initializes a Neutralino application. The application developer needs to call this method explicitly. So you need to call it to start the new application, or else you cannot be able to access all the other functionalities of new application. And that is exactly what we did here, guys. In our main.js, you can see where we initialize the application neutralino.init. The Neutralino is available. This API or the class is available when you link the neutralino.js into your HTML. When we link this into our HTML, the Neutralino API is now available for us. That is why we make use of Neutralino without defining it. All right, so it is already available for us on the Windows level. That's why you can access the Neutralino.app or any other API that is available within the Neutralino API. We also initialize it here. Neutralino.init is the what you need to run first. Then here neutralino.event. So this event is also an API. You can be able to listen to an event in your application. In this case, neutralino.event that is listening to when you close the window. That means when you click on this close icon here, when you click on this close, this event will be triggered. And when this event is triggered, on window close function will run, and on Windows close function is exactly where we call neutralino app.exit. That is how we close the window. Let's see other API we can look at. Let us check the computer API, guys. So I will just discuss about the computer API. I will be making a separate video that cover each of these API, guys, because I cannot cover everything in this video. If I'm talking about the app, I will make a separate video that will discuss about the app API and the method that is available, the clipboard API as well, and even you have the custom API as well. Let's go to computer API, neutralino.computer. You can see neutralino.computer namespace contain method related to user's hardware. It allows you to access the user's hardware. Let's go to the code. Let me define a function here, get system info. So AI is trying to help me, guys, but for you to understand what we are doing, let me turn off my internet for the meantime so that we'll be able to explain this concept for you guys. If I go to the browser, guys, you can see what is available for me here. Get memory info. It returns system memory statistics in bytes. Okay, how the total memory, that is what it is returning, physical memory, total available memory. We also have the virtual object, virtual memory as well, total number, and also available. And this is what you need to run, guys, to actually get it. You await neutralino.computer.get info. It is a promise. Okay, so I can just copy this, go back. If I do something like this, const memory info equals to await. Let's log the memory in the console so that you will see what it return. Let's log it, memory info, in the console so that you are going to see what it return. So let's see our console. Await is only valid in async function and the top level bodies of module. This is because it is a promise. Using await here, you need to use await in a async function. I don't want us to waste time. I'm going to turn the main.js into a module. So what I'm going to do here and type, the type of this main.js is going to be module. Type module like this. Now the reason I'm turning it to module so that I can be able to use the await on the top level of my main.js. Instead of having error, now I'm going to get the result. So let's see the console now. Okay, I have to save it, and let's go back to the console. Okay, I need to make a change, maybe to make a change and save. Still not getting this info, guys. Let me stop the application and rerun it. Okay, launch it so it is open here. Okay, here I'm getting error. Okay, I'm getting error, guys. I cannot access the computer.get info, and the error I'm getting on the console is that missing permission to execute the native method computer.get info. That is to tell you how Neutralino application app is very secure, because it will not allow you to execute a code without permission. I cannot be able to access the computer.get info. That is, this computer API is not available in this main.js. And to allow it, that is when we need to go to our configuration file. Under the native allow list, we need to add it. So I'm going to add computer. I add the computer like this. I want to add the object and method that are available in the computer. That's why I'm using asterisk, which means all, and save it. As usual, I need to restart this application because I make change in the configuration file. I'm going to clear the console. Clear. Oh, I'm typing clear somewhere else, guys. This is not where I'm supposed to type clear. So go to the console and type clear. Yeah, just clear it and run our application again. Run it. Let's see if we are going to get memory information now. Okay, we have an object. Remember, this one is not an error, it's just looking for the favicon. So this one, you can just ignore this one that says fail to load the resources. It is not an error, it is just looking for favicon. It's just a normal web feature. Now let's go to our object. This is what it return. You can see it return the physical memory. Okay, we have an object that contains another object. Here we have the available memory. We'll have the total memory of our system and the one that is available. We also have the virtual memory, the one that is available, and the one that the total. The get memory info is going to return those information. Let's go to the browser to see what we have next, guys. Computer.get architecture to get the architecture identifier. So return the CPU architecture identifier. Let me just copy this. Let me just copy it. So let me return to the code. So this one say get system architecture. All right, so let me paste it here. You can see we are waiting neutralino.config.get architecture, and let's see the return value. So this is what is going to return, and return the architecture of your system. So let's go back and run this. Let me just save it and save. Each time you save it, is going to reload the application. Let's go to the console. You can see we have the architecture of my system 64-bit. Okay, so the 64-bit is exactly what it returned here. That is, my system is 64-bit architecture. Let's see what we have again. We have computer.get kernel info. So return operating system kernel info. So if you want to see the kernel info of your system, so you can use this method that is available on the window. So let me just copy this, go back to the console, or rather go back to the code, get system kernel. So let me paste it. We are waiting neutralino.config.get kernel info, and it is going to return the kernel info. Okay, let me save it and let's go to our console. You can see our kernel info is Windows NT. Windows NT is what it returns. What else do we have? Computer.get OS information, return operating system information. So, okay, it is also a promise. So let me just copy this. Before then, you can see it return the name, operating system name, description, operating system description, and also the version, both the major or minor version. So let's see what it return. Let's go back to code, get OS info, paste it here, save it. Let's see the console. You can see it return Windows NT is also the operating system info that it return. All right, so let's go back. We have another method, get CPU info, return the CPU information, and it return the vendor string representation of the vendor name, model name, frequency number, that the current CPU frequency in hertz, and architecture. Okay, get architecture, the same thing as the get architecture function, what it return. And we have logical thread, physical cores, and also physical unit. So let's just get it, this code here, guys, and go back to code. Let me say get system, what are we checking for? Okay, CPU info, get CPU info. Okay, let me paste it here. So it is going to return the CPU info. So I want to see all the info, guys. Let me just remove this. Let's log the CPU info. Okay, we can equally log all these ones, guys, so that you can see what the full return. So let me just log them. Instead of putting them in a string like this, I can equally log whatever it returns so that you will see the full thing that it returns. Likewise the OS. So let me just remove this and log whatever it returns. OS info, so you can see what it return. So I save it. Let's go back to the console. All right, I'm just accessing all of them. So for the OS, you can see we have description, Microsoft Windows 11 Pro. So for the OS, this is the one, OS info, and you can access the name and the version of the window as well. So that is it. We also have the kernel. You can see it here. The variant is NT version Windows 10, and the build version, you can see it. We have the CPU info. The CPU info is the last one we log here. If I go back, this is the CPU info. We have the architecture to be 64-bit. That is our system architecture CPU. Frequency, you have the number representing the frequency. Logical thread 4, that is the 4-thread model. Intel Core i5 3.1, and physical cores is 4. And we also have the physical unit of 1, and the vendor is genuine Intel. So that is what it returns. So let's go back to see what else we have. You can also get a display, guys. Okay, the display of your window. You are going to get the width, the height, DPI, BP, and refresh rate. Okay, also the resolution here and the ID. So let's get this, guys. So let me quickly show it. Go back, get displays. So right now I have 2 monitors connected to my computer. So let's see what it return. So I will just remove this for loop and see the display. CLG, say displays. So I'm going to put the display here. The displays, it is going to return array of displays. Okay, so let's go to the console. You can see here I have array of 2 objects. Okay, you can see the first one, which is 0, index of 0, represent my first desktop, the one I'm using to do this recording. So you can see the BPP, DPI, ID, but refresh rate, but the resolution you can see is 1050 by 1680. This desktop you are seeing here, so this very desktop you are seeing here is actually what it is showing. And my second desktop, you can't see it, but this is the resolution as well. Okay, so it is just a small monitor, 900 by 1600. So that is it. So let's see other information we have, guys. Get mouse position. So you can just try to get the mouse position of your mouse. Okay, so you can get the X and Y position of your mouse as well. All right, so you can, on your own, guys, you can explore other API that is available. Just go to the API, for example, the file system. I'm going to make a separate tutorial that will guide you on how to use the file system to read, write, and also update files. Okay, even the event, if we are building a full desktop application, most of this API you will make use of it, guys. Okay, so for you to build your app, you may use most of this API to make your app functional, even the event API. So I'm going to create a separate video how to use the event API as well. So I hope with these illustrations, guys, you can now master the NeutralinoJS interface. the settings that are available for you, and also read the documentation and understand the different API that is available for you. So if you want me to build a Ray application using NeutralinoJS, you can drop it in the comment section so that we can start exploring more of the API that is available for us. Thank you for watching this video.